Hey, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable Talk. I am your host, C Money. In this episode, I'm doing a follow up to my episode. I just did a few episodes ago talking about freedom of speech and talking about the Charlie Kirk situation. Well, another one bites the dust. Remember in my last episode when I was talking about freedom of speech, where I said that a commissioner down here in South Florida for a local city was targeted because of his comments on social media, and that a um, teacher for a private school was relieved of their duties because of their comments about Charlie Kirk online, and they have closed campus the campus the school um, for classes and weekend events. Another one bites the dust. Now Jimmy Kimmel, the late night talk show host, show has been suspended because of his comments about Charlie Kirk. Now it is really getting real. So my thing is now, nobody is safe when it comes to freedom of speech. And I know a lot of you might have commented and a lot of you might have a say on this. I get what, because even down the governor of Florida said it, and he's had a conference about it, and he was saying when you're in a position, whether you're a teacher or a politician or anybody with a higher position, you have to know that what you say can come back to you. And I understand that as a politician, as a teacher, or as certain things, you have to control what you're saying. But at the same time, I look at it as if these people have rights to speak what they have to speak. And I guess because Jimmy Kimmel said it on one of his episodes, his talk show episodes, it do. Because what happened was the streaming company that, you know, does his episodes, they actually stopped saying that they're not going to show his shows in different areas, and then ABC had to step in, and now they're saying they're going to rerun episodes of Celebrity Family Feud in his time slot because he has been suspended. They're not saying that his show has been canceled, they're saying it's suspended. So that means that he still has a show, but right now it's not going to be airing because of his comments with Charlie Kirk. And I want to know what y'all think about this. Do you think it was right, or do you think it was wrong? Now, as you know, as a talk show host like myself, because even though I'm a content creator, meaning I have this YouTube channel, you know that we have a right to speak on what we think about these things. And I know because of his show was a TV based talk show, you have to be, because I know a lot of these shows get canceled because of, like Arsenio Hall, he eventually got canceled. Remember back then, he got canceled from, allegedly, from what was told, because he had Louis Farrakhan on his show and things like that. And, a lot of people stopped watching because of, things like that. And a lot of these shows get canceled because they have somebody on their show, or they say something offensive, and people like, I'm not finna watch this show no more. He's a communist, or he's a Republican, or he's a racist, or he's stereotyping, or something of that nature. And it's like, a lot of the times they're speaking their mind, but they're not listening. Because, like they say, you have to think before you talk. And that's how I am sometimes, because sometimes I don't think before I talk, and then I say stuff that comes out, and then it offends people. Like some of the stuff that I say on my show, and a lot of y'all may not like it, or a lot of y'all may hate it, but I speak the truth because I feel like, hey, this is something that needs to be said, and it's sometimes, and mostly it's my opinions and what I think, but at the same time I look at it as if, I believe it was his opinions, and as a American citizen, your opinions and your views can cost you. And look at what happened. It cost him his show. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. We as Americans do not have freedom of speech, because when are you ever see that somebody's freedom of speech actually meant something? You see a lot of these protests, and you see a lot of these, you know, you know, meetings where we try to do things and stuff. Just like that, they're still fighting for the man who, the city commissioner. I think it's Palmetto Bay, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a city down here in South Florida, in the Miami-Dade County, where he don't want to go nowhere. But now they said that they're asking the governor, Ron DeSantis, to step in, because they don't have the power to remove him. Only the governor has the power to remove him. And the only person that can remove him without the governor is he has to resign. And, they want him to resign. And I'm like, people, these people have a right to speak their mind. The only thing is the way they go about it should not be good. Because you have a right to speak your mind in different areas, but it's like you can't go to social media, or you can't go to things. You have a right to, you with your friends. Oh, I don't know, because I've seen a lot of comments about Charlie Kirk's, assassination. Some are good, some are bad. I can tell you right now, I don't even know this man. When they say he got assassinated at the college, I'm like, who is Charlie Kirk? I've never heard of him. I know he's a powerful political man out there, because there's a lot of political people out there that I've never heard of, and they come into the limelight of into the light, and I'm like, I've never heard of this person. Just like when I say about African American history, you only learn about Dr. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, and the Rosa Parks and all of these other people. You don't hear about, Crispus Attucks and all of these people in the back, You hear about, Malcolm X and Frederick Douglass and Barack Obama and all of this. You don't hear about people behind the scenes. Harriet Tubman was the headliner in the forefront of the Underground Railroad, but she had people behind her. Like, she was the CEO of the Underground Railroad, but she had to have presidents and supervisors and managers behind her. Not saying that's how it was, but she had people, like, she had to have somebody that was under her, like an assistant, and then they had to have little people behind her that was guiding the way, because she couldn't be at one. She was like the president of the Underground Railroad, and they had several locations throughout the United States, and she had to have this person running this location, that person running that location, that person, and she had to have, and you don't hear about these people. And just from with Charlie Kirk, I was like, I didn't know who this man was, and I was like, rest in peace to Charlie Kirk, because even though he was a political person, and whatever his views and opinions that he had, it shouldn't have cost him his life. Because, see, like, everybody can have a opinion about politics or life or whatever. Whether you talk about the gays, whether you talking about the blacks, whether you talking about the Asians, whether you talking about the Chinese, whether you talking about Trump, whether you talking about Obama, whether you talking about Bush or anything, whether you talking about McDonald's, Burger King, a lot of these people, everybody has an opinion to every right or every, situation. You have a freedom of speech. That's what it is. And then a lot of these people, they say one thing, they assassin. They say one thing, they in jail. They say one thing, you getting threatened. And I'm looking at it as if now this is a wake up call, because now a lot of these late night talk show hosts are going to say, well, I'm not going to say nothing about Charlie Kirk because they got Jimmy Kimmel fired. Now, because and this is like at my job too. When they say suspended, 9 times out of 10, you're fired. It's suspended means two things. Meaning that you can't work, but you're on pay. You're suspended with pay until the investigation over, or you're suspended without pay until we investigate. And 9 times out of 10, a lot of these companies, they don't investigate. They just suspend you for a week or two. Then they bring you in and say, okay, you're fired. And sometimes they suspend you for 2 or 3 weeks, and then what are we gonna do with him? Is he a good worker or is he a bad worker? Or is she a good worker? Is she a bad worker? And then they look at your history and say, okay, he's still good, so we're gonna keep him. Oh no, he's not good. Let's fire him. And I look at it, and I say, what you say may cost you. That's why a lot of times, it's very, very, very hard to speak your mind. And that's why I say we as Americans do not have freedom of speech. And a lot of y'all may disagree with me on this, but look how many people are out here speaking their mind and they're actually getting chopped because they're speaking their mind. Now, the guy who I believe that assassinated Charlie Kirk, I believe that was his way of expressing his freedom of speech, because he probably felt like he didn't like Charlie Kirk, or he was against whatever he was talking about, or whatever his political view was. And I believe, I don't think you should assassinate somebody because you don't like what they're saying, because a lot of people are like Charlie Kirk. A lot of people have the same political views, the same political outlook, the same everyday life views, or whatever the case may be. Just like I have different views on life. I have different views on political things and stuff like that. And just like, and I said this on several shows, and I've said this. The only reason why I believe that one of the main reasons why Obama got elected, and I've said this on several shows, and I'm saying allegedly because I don't want nobody coming after me like they did Charlie Kirk or Jimmy Kimmel. The fact that people got tired of their families getting killed. The Republicans wanted to continue this war. We all know the only thing we wanted was to kill Osama bin Laden and get the people who attacked us on 9/11. It was more about money and oil and all this other stuff, because and a lot of comedians and a lot of people have said this. It was more than that. It's about money. These people was like, look, man, let's just kill the man who did the 9/11 attacks and let's get it over with. You want to do all this attacking about this, and then they said, nah. And a lot of Republicans, and in my mind, they're like, you killed my daddy, you killed my uncle, you killed my cousin, you killed my auntie, you killed my brother, you killed this person, you killed my best friend, you killed my teacher, you killed my professor, you killed all of these people. But when is this war gonna end? And to this day, we would have still been in war. And I look at it as if, we finna get the black man in. And his second year in office, he got Osama bin Laden and they got him. And I was like, you know what? Because y'all don't understand. It was more about Osama bin Laden than it was about anything else. We wanted to get the people who attacked us on 9/11. Y'all wanted to get the people about oil and water and money and all these products and all of this stuff that's going on. And I'm sitting up there like, really? So, but if we was to say something, stuff like that, it would come to us, because a lot of people like, you can't say that, you can't say this, but because we don't. But as Americans, we're supposed to have freedom of speech, And Jimmy Kimmel now getting chopped because he said what he had to say about Charlie Kirk. And I'm like, wow. So even a daytime talk show host who has their own views can't say nothing. So now when you go on as a talk show host, whether you're, who's nighttime talk shows, a lot of these nighttime talk show hosts, now you have to be like, shh, don't go in there and say that. You see what happened to Jimmy Kimmel? Don't go in there and say this. So I look at it as if, wow. So even celebrities, and then they say President Donald Trump tweeted that he was glad that they suspended Jimmy Kimmel, and I'm like, so you support, even though I knew that Trump supports Charlie Kirk, but I look at it as if you don't like the fact that he expressed his opinion, about a political situation. So what you're trying to say is a lot of Americans do not have the right to speak their mind, especially celebrities, because How many times Barack Obama has said something about Donald Trump? And look how Donald Trump complied. Just like with the stimulus situation. Barack Obama said, basically, you know, and I'm going to see if I can find this. Um, excuse me, y'all. And I'm gonna see. Listen.
Be like, well, Donald Trump sent me a check during the pandemic. No, 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 y'all know, because I've heard this. I know y'all, some of you heard that. Hey, let me make sure y'all understand this. Joe Biden sent you a check during the pandemic, just like I gave people relief during the Great Recession. The thing is, we didn't put our name on it because it wasn't about feeding our egos. It wasn't about advancing our politics. It was about helping people. That's the difference. Don't be giving them credit for that.
And I look at it as if that was Obama giving his, outlook on, hey, we're here to help the people. We're not here to boost our egos. And I look at it as if I'm here to say what I want to say about politics. I'm not here to, put down somebody. What he said in there was, yeah, Biden gave everybody a stimulus check because the pandemic was still going when Biden became president. We didn't put our names on the check saying, I'm Donald Trump and I'm the one that gave out. Because that's what a lot of people are out here saying. Oh, Donald Trump, I like him because he gave me a stimulus check. They was going to give you a stimulus check whether if Donald Trump was in the office or whether somebody else was in office. They were still going to give you a stimulus check because it was not Donald Trump, it was the government, the congressmen, the state senates, and all of these. They approved of all this. You was going to get a stimulus check regardless. So when I look at this freedom of speech, when Obama, he's doing that. And yes, there have been Donald Trump where he has backlashed Obama for some of the stuff he did and a lot of that stuff. But I'm like, look, we all have a right to freedom of speech. The only thing about freedom of speech is we can't tear somebody down. I don't believe Jimmy Kimmel was tearing somebody down when he did that, what he said. I don't believe that he was tearing people or tried to tear him down, tried to tear somebody down. So let's see. Listen.
ABC announced it's suspending Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Let me do.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
And he went on and on to start saying other stuff. And I'm like, as an American, he has that right for freedom of speech. Now, I understand that he shouldn't have did it on live TV because you know that you do have a lot of Charlie Kirk supporters and you do have a lot of, Republicans and other people that support not only him but his political views and everything. So my understanding is keep your comments to yourself. Just like they always say, keep your comments to yourself or keep your negative views to yourself. Now, I don't honestly think that Jimmy Kimmel had negative views about it. I just think he was reporting on the situation to where, he was just reporting what everybody was doing. Now, just like when I tell you, a lot of the stuff I talk about on my show, a lot of the stuff may reflect maybe my opinions and my views of the situations, but I don't look at it as if I'm, I'm one of them people where okay, I want everybody to come after me or something. No, I don't want y'all to come after me because of what I think about this political view or what I think about a lot of things. Because at the end of the day, I look at it as if it's just my views. It's just my um take on certain things. Yeah, I'm not condemning, political people. I don't condemn them for things. I may say things that say, I don't feel this is right, I don't feel that is right, or I don't like it, or this and that. But at the same time, it's not like I'm saying that they're a bad person. I'm not saying that Donald Trump is a bad person. I'm not saying that a lot of these politicians like Governor Ron DeSantis, I don't call them out on their situations. I just feel like there should be better options than what we're doing. Just like, a lot of things. And with this, I say, you know, let's try to get to where we can understand that we as Americans should have a right of freedom of speech. We should be able to say what we want to say without being chastised, without being chopped, without being fired, without being forced to resign, without being prisoned, without being killed. You know, I can go outside right now and say something bad about Charlie Kirk. Next thing you know, I'm in jail for a couple of days because of my political out views. The same thing with me saying about Donald Trump. I can go on Twitter, which is X now, and say, oh, this Donald Trump, this Donald Trump, that. And then next thing you know, I get a knock on my door. And I talked about this in my previous, freedom of speech. So for Jimmy Kimmel to be chopped like that, it's like, I don't believe, because I didn't really, because, I don't really watch late night talk shows like that. And if I'm up, I'm usually up watching, some random TV show, because, late night they always show the reruns of some TV show from back in the day or something like that, or things like that. So I'm like, okay, let me understand this. This is basically, I don't watch too many of the talk shows, so I don't really know what he said, and that was a clip of it. But at the same time, I look at it as if, let these people speak. That a lot of these talk show hosts was going to weigh in on the Charlie Kirk shooting, because it is one of the biggest incidents that happened in a while. You had these mass shootings and all that stuff, but this is, you had a political activist that was assassinated. And I look at it as if, you got to understand that these people are doing this because they want the people to know. And I don't think Jimmy Kimmel was trying to, get his views, or was giving out his opinions. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But at the same time, he's just doing what a regular talk show host would do, talking about the facts. And the fact that whatever he said was offensive to a lot of people, they chop. And I'm like, wow. And when I started, I said, this has got to be one of the most craziest things out there. Because now you have even celebrities who can't even, as celebrities, because how they have on CNN and CSNBC and all those other news platforms where they be having these debates and having these, you have one person here and one person here, and they talk about this and they talk about that. Some of these people, when they be talking about these politics and these situations, you gotta watch what you say, because the one thing that come out of your mouth that might be offensive or wrong, and Jimmy Kimmel, and I'm like, oh my God. And I know that man is, he has money. I know he could, he's not like one of them people where, you just started out and then you ended up being, and you're broke afterwards. But at the same time, I look at it as if, woo, that was just a low blow for him. So now, as a talk show host, you got to watch what you're saying out there now, because nobody is safe when it comes to freedom of speech. Not even celebrities. You thought that these youngins and these YNs and these Gen X and Gen Zs, and you think that all these people out here that be out here on social media, when they be posting their comments and stuff, they get chastised, like they say with the Beehive, Beyonce fans. You come for the Beehive, they gonna come for you. You say anything about Beyonce, they gonna come for you, because I a lot of things. So, and then there's a lot with these, celebrities and stuff like that. I see where a lot of people, they'll comment on certain things, and you get positive comments and negative comments, and I'll be like, ooh. And when it comes to it, I'm like, ooh, I'm glad I'm not in. And I've had where I done made comments to several things, and people have commented back. Maybe it's positive, maybe it's negative, but those, I just feel like it's my opinions. And a lot of these people, they get at it, and I look at it as if for that man to go like that, ooh, it's just what do y'all think? Do y'all think that it was right that they suspended Jimmy Kimmel show because of his talk on Charlie Kirk? To me, I don't think they should have suspended him. I'm not suspending him, but suspended his show. I believe they should have sat down and they should have sent out a memo to all talk show hosts saying, "Hey, you can talk about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, but there's three things. It cannot be a funny joke. It cannot be your opinions on it, and it can't be offensive to our viewers." And because they probably say you have the right to talk about it because you are a talk show host. You have to talk about things like I talk about everyday topics here, and I also talk about the main topics. We did an episode about Charlie Kirk, and talked about it. But at the same time, I look at it as if yes, I will have to keep what I say to myself, even though I am only a YouTube show, I still have to keep what I have to say and to a minimum because you do have people that do watch YouTube for a lot of news and a lot of topics based on this subject. So I look at it as if as Americans, do you think that this is right for what they did to Jimmy Kimmel? Because no, he didn't deserve to get suspended. I just think that they need to come to him. Now, I understand that a lot of people may have not liked what he said, and a lot of people might have taken that offensive or whatever, because you do have Charlie Kirk supporters out there that support him. Because remember, there was over 3,000 people at that rally, from what I was told. Maybe less, maybe more. But and they supported him, because if you didn't support him, you wasn't at that rally, at that college. Even if you didn't support him, you probably went to see what he had to say and stuff like that. But I honestly believe that shouldn't have happened with Jimmy Kimmel. But hey, this is television. The FCC has the right to regulate a lot of stuff. They did an episode about it on Family Guy, where Peter had to, create his own thing, because the FCC regulated a lot of stuff that people say on TV, and it's, that's why a lot of these TV shows go to cable, because you have a lot more lenient on cable than you have regular TV. Because on cable, I see a lot of TV shows that be cussing, they be saying a lot of stuff and all that. Where on regular TV you can't cuss. You can say maybe damn, or you can say maybe bitch. But you can't say a lot of this other stuff where fuck you motherfucker and all this stuff, because you're a regular TV. And a lot of these shows, and not only that, they show nudity on cable. You see a lot of more nudity than you go on regular TV, you'll see a man with a t-shirt off and showing his chest and everything, but you're not going to show them that be showing prints, or a woman naked, half naked, showing their breasts and all that. So it's a lot. But what do you think about this? I'm going off topic now, but what do you think about this? Do you think that they should have suspended Jimmy Kimmel, or they shouldn't have suspended Jimmy Kimmel? Let me know what your comments is on this. Because this is, oh my God. And I guarantee you I might be doing another episode, because I said in the last episode we didn't follow up on it and things like that. And the follow up was Americans having freedom of speech, and stuff like that, because of the situation with the commissioner here down in South Florida, and with the school teacher. And he got relieved of his duties, meaning he got fired, and they want to get rid of the commissioner because they felt like his political views or his political whatever statement that he did was wrong as a commissioner. So, and we did a follow up on that, and then come days later, they suspended Jimmy Kimmel. I'm like, oh my God! So now they're coming for the celebrities, that are weighing in on their comments about this. So I'm like, it's getting out of hand to where now no one's safe when it comes to freedom of speech. You can talk all day you want, but when it hits social media, you can sit up here in the comfort of your home and say, I don't like this person, I don't like that person, I don't like their views, I don't like. But once you hit it and post it on social media, especially on Twitter, which is the main thing that people be, because I see a lot of comments, they gonna come for you, So I want y'all to feel about this. Email me roundtable00, and you can also comment at the bottom of this page. I thank y'all for watching this. Let me know what y'all think. Comment, whatever. Do you think they should have got suspended Jimmy Kimmel? Do you think they shouldn't? Because I think they shouldn't. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, stay hydrated. If we do another follow up, I don't know, because this is the third follow up to the Charlie Kirk situation. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next episode. Have a good day. Take care.